All right, I call this meeting to order at 6:08 p.m. The University of Central Florida respectfully acknowledges that it is located on the traditional lands of the Ice, Appalachee, Calusa, Timucua, and Tocobago tribes, as well as the Seminole Tribe of Florida and the Miccosukee Tribe of Indians of Florida. Roll call and verification of quorum. Chair Gaudio.
Hagenbuck. Reed.
Present.
Olivia Smith.
Present.
Casimiro.
Present.
Capanos. Wacker. Critchfield.
Present.
Jane.
Present.
Sherman. Danae Smith. Belulehi. Gentile.
Present.
Greg.
Present.
Kaufman.
Present.
Lucht. McNulty. Miller.
Present.
Patel. Rashid.
Present.
Rubio. Thompson. El Haq. Kanuja. Cranova. Riggett.
Present.
Hayter. Magadia. Phillips. Beauvais.
Present.
Montañez.
Present.
Wynn. Habgood.
Present.
Veronica Perez. Barrios.
I'm here.
Grosso. Jones. Matthews.
Present.
McRae.
Present.
Nursumadevra. Runda. Sharif.
Present.
Simmons.
Present.
Vieira. Zivin. Kloss. 36 out of... My list is wrong, so 36 out of something.
Thank you, and I just want to make sure you got Vice Chair Wacker. He put in the chat that his mic was not working.
37 then.
All right, and then for everyone who is online, if you could please turn on your cameras. And obviously, if you're in person, join the teams to be able to vote. Approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve last meeting's minutes? And is there a motion to approve today's agenda? And are there any objections? Seeing none, is there anyone wishing to speak in open forum? Seeing none, announcements from the student body president given by Vice President Jones. Oh, I apologize. Any questions for the student body president? Seeing none, announcements from the student body vice president, Vice President Jones. Any questions for the vice president? Seeing none, comptroller's report, Comptroller Menke.
Good evening, everybody. Happy final Senate of this fiscal year. So assuming no activity in the CRT and FAO accounts this coming week, here are the final balances and reversion rates. CRT is at $37,722.95, reverting at 7.21%, same as last week. FAO balance is $12,837,000.70, reverting at 6.67%. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I'm always happy to help you guys.
Any questions for the comptroller? Seeing none, thank you. Attorney General's report given by the Chief of Staff.
Hello? Okay, perfect. Good evening, Senators. I hope you all had a lovely week. Attorney General Opinion 58-01 is posted on the UCF website. I reached out to OSI web designers, and the Senate rules on the student government website have been updated to link directly to the teams. I have attended the LJR committee meetings and the ENA committee meetings. If you'd like me to sit on a committee meeting, let me know through Teams. I will be in office tomorrow along with Tuesday and Thursday of next week.
And the Chief of Staff report.
Good evening, Senate. I have been meeting weekly with ILA Matthews to establish priorities and set key timeframes for SGLC, including summer prep and a rough outline for the fall curriculum. Additionally, I've been coordinating plans for Texas Tech's visit to UCF on July 9th, and I will be sending more information on that soon.
Are there any questions for Chief of Staff Arbucci? Seeing none, thank you. Are you giving the?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello, Senate. This past week, I had the opportunity to meet with the Wellness and Health Promotion Services and Parking and Transportation Services to discuss ways we could collaborate this upcoming school year and talk through several initiatives I'm hoping to implement.
All right. Any questions that the Chief of Staff can answer? Seeing none, thank you. And announcements from the Chief Justice Hoffner.
Alrighty, good evening, Senate. This week I conducted interviews for the internal and external Assistant Chief Justice positions, and I'm super excited for you all to see these candidates selected for these positions tonight. A fiscal administrative decision appeal was submitted last Friday, and a hearing has been scheduled for next Wednesday, July 1st at 5:30 p.m. via Teams. Attached is the order for the hearing. I'll be posting a link to join the meeting if you're interested in watching the appeal, and I'll be posting that pretty soon. And then lastly, I hereby appoint Isabella Ryan to the External Assistant Chief Justice position and Samantha Toscano to the Internal Assistant Chief Justice position. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.
Any questions for the Chief Justice? Seeing none, thank you. Announcements from the Supervisor of Elections, Supervisor Callaway. Any questions for the Supervisor of Elections, Senator El-Harak? So noted at 6:16 p.m. Vice Chair Capinos.
President voting.
So noted at 6:16 p.m. Seeing no other questions, thank you. Announcements from the Senate President. Good evening, everyone. Still lots of polos in my office that haven't been claimed. So if you are in person and you don't have yours, you can stop by my office afterwards and I'll get them to you. Next week, my office will be working on creating a shared calendar for the three of us. So for any senators wishing to schedule a meeting with us, for example, if you want to discuss an initiative, and I know Chair Perez has a new initiative tracker that you can also use. If that's the case, we would be able to set up a time through that method. As a reminder, there'll be no Senate next week due to the 4th of July and the Student Union closing at 6 p.m. However, committees and caucuses may still be meeting, so make sure that you stay in the loop on those. And last, my office will be meeting with the webmasters soon to discuss structural change to the website. And that includes all of the committee info that Isla Matthews and Eli Smith have been working with the committees to get. So thank you to both of them and to everyone in the committees who have been diligent with that. Are there any questions for myself? Seeing none, internal legislative assistant report, Isla Matthews.
Hi guys, sorry, a lot for me this week. So I hope everyone's week's going well. This week I met with the Chief of Staff as she discussed for our weekly SGLC meeting. We discussed timelines for the rest of summer, marketing, and then topics we're going to discuss in our first meeting with the judicial coordinators. We're super excited to start working alongside them to get in full planning mode for this upcoming fall. If you guys have any questions about SGLC, SLC, or just concerns in general, please Teams me. I would love to schedule a meeting to discuss any of these questions or concerns and be able to direct you guys to the coordinators. Also this week, I've been working on the website updates document. It's going to be linked on that as well, just to ensure all the committees have sent in their updates and everything like that. I've also, like I said, linked it. And it is currently being updated though, so it's not final yet. If you guys have any personal updates you want in there, please message myself, the speaker, and ELA, all in the same Teams message or email, just so we can all be on the same page with that. As well as we've been working on the committee pamphlets. We're super excited to share these final products to you guys soon in the committees, as we will be ordering them soon. Also, Speaker and myself have now created a system for individual senators and committees to request tabling materials. I've linked the Microsoft form to this announcement as well. It's going to ask your name or your committee, the date, event type, and materials needed. This will ensure inventory is accounted for, and the Speaker and myself can then pre-assign tabling materials in advance to you guys. Again, if you guys have any questions about this, please message the Speaker and myself in Teams or email. And then lastly, for caucuses, I'm going to be chairing ICTC. That's going to be on Tuesday at 3:30 hybrid through Teams and the SG conference room. And then the Women's Caucus will be on Monday at 3:30 hybrid through Teams and in the Charge On chamber. And the first caucus leadership meeting will be happening once all chairs are elected. If you guys have any questions about that process, please Teams me. And then also just one more reminder, please CC me in all communication with the Election Commission, all caucuses, or the judicial branch. If you're communicating via Teams, please just send me a quick message about what you're discussing, just so the Speaker's office is fully in the loop. And then I've also linked the initiative tracker as well for Chair Perez.
Any questions for the ILA? Seeing none, external legislative assistant report, Eli Smith.
All right. Hi, all. So there's a lot of spelling mistakes, so just ignore that. But I finished up meetings with the committee heads last week, and the Speaker's office has officially collected all the information we need for the legislative branch flyers and website updates. I had another meeting with Director Malone where we discussed the graphic and digital media request forms, and the comms hub on the Journal Teams channel is really cool. So please go check that out and get ready to submit the forms when they launch July 1st. I'm meeting with the GAP chair and Director Malone tomorrow to discuss plans for the GAP newsletter and a possible fiscal funding form announcement, Instagram graphic. That the information was given to me by Chair Phillips. Again, please remember to CC me in any communication with media outlets, the executive branch, and for graphic requests. When you send these emails, if you've already disregard that. If you've already communicated with these entities, please forward those conversations with me to me. It is important that I'm aware of these conversations so I can provide support and knowledge of all that is happening in this branch. Also, remember, no one is media trained, so you should not be talking to the media. If the media contacts you, please just direct them to me. And finally, Chair Perez will be talking about this later, but please use the form linked at the end of this to put your updates for initiatives in. It doesn't really matter what stage they're at, please just put them there. And I also added a separate section for college-specific initiatives, so please remember to update that, and thank you guys so much.
Any questions for the ELA? Seeing none, Senate President Pro Tempore report, Pro Tem Kaufman.
All right, good evening, everyone. This week I've been busy preparing for caucuses to begin. As a reminder, if you were appointed to a caucus, please attend the first meeting this week. It is incredibly important that everyone attends these meetings. Congrats to Commissioner Mello for being elected as our first caucus chair of the Disability Caucus earlier today. And here are the first meetings of the caucuses that I am chairing this week. They will all be announced in their respective channels if they have not been done already, but the times are listed there. I attended the first Election Commission meeting last Friday, so congratulations to Supervisor Callaway again. And the penal action of the notifications of noncompliance have been voted on and approved by LJR. The following senators have been in noncompliance for over 5 academic days. That is going to be Senator El Harak, Senator Krynova, Senator Macadia, and Vice Chair Rubio. And finally, my updated office hours are now Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. through 5 p.m., but you can reach me at any point throughout the day via Teams. And I have again linked the initiative tracker in all caps this time.
Any questions for the Pro Tempore? Seeing none, Deputy Pro Tempore of Legislative Affairs report, Delia Hapgood.
Hello. This week I worked on going through legislation and hosting my first legislation workshop, which was a great practice run, and I'm hoping more people can join online or in person for the next one on July 3rd at 1 p.m. Remember to reach out with any questions or if you have trouble finding any documents. Thank you.
Any questions for the DLEG? Seeing none, Deputy Pro Tempore of Senate Relations report, Deeser Montanez.
Okay, so the RSO info sheet is now completed. You will now find a college allocated to each RSO. There's 691 in total, and the college is allocated if applicable. You will also find a category and a subcategory. Please look at it. If you have still not filled out the RSO preference form, the info sheet will be sent out this meeting, which means it's right there. And it will be due next Thursday at July 2nd. I do know that we do not have a meeting then, so you will still need to have it done by then. Then the RSO distribution will be completed July 9th and sent out that same Senate meeting. If the RSO distribution form has not been filled out by the due date, I will assume you have no preference at all. You'll find both the RSO interest form and the RSO info sheet linked there. Please fill out the event suggestion form. Again, I want senators to attend events that they actually would like to attend, and it will remain open for multiple submissions. So as ideas come into your head, you can submit more suggestions. Link there. And another reminder, the photo circle, join it. It's been super fun. And thank you for everybody who's already been submitting photos and videos already. That's
Any
all.
questions for the DSER? Seeing none, fiscal committee report, CRT committee chair Jones. Any questions for the CRT chair? Seeing none, FAO committee chair Phillips. Any questions for the FAO chair? Seeing none, ORS committee chair Casimiro.
Hey everyone. This week we postponed 2 VPS for further clarification from the RSOs. As the Chief Justice mentioned, there will be a fiscal administrative decision appeal occurring this coming Wednesday. This doesn't happen often, so I would recommend attending to see how it works. Thank you to Speaker Sherman for stepping up and representing the ORS committee. If you have any questions about anything ORS related, please do not hesitate to reach out to me.
Any questions for the ORS chair? Senator Rashid.
So I had a question for the appeal. Are we allowed to speak on behalf of the RSO?
Motion for a non-committee member to speak.
That be?
Chief Justice Hoffner.
There's been a motion to allow Chief Justice Hoffner to speak. Is there a second? And any objections? Seeing none, if you'd like to come to a mic.
Could you repeat the question? Sorry.
During that appeal, I know my name's not on that form, but are we allowed to like help speak on behalf of the RSO?
They would have to submit you as a witness.
Okay, thank you.
Chair Gaudio.
Could you tell me more about the VPFs that got postponed?
Yeah, so one of the VPS we postponed because we had some questions about specifics about I think it was a Wildman purchase. It was just a discrepancy between the receipts and the VPF template that they filled out, so we wanted to ask about that. And the other one, they had less members attend the they had less members attend, so we wanted to ask if they were prorated and see confirmation. I did ask them and they said that they were prorated, so we would proceed with that.
Any further questions? Seeing none, internal committee reports, ENA committee Vice Chair Bobe.
Sorry, my Teams is acting up. Is it just no report? Yeah, okay. I have no report for Evan.
Any questions for the ENH Vice Chair? Seeing none, GAP Committee Chair Reed.
Hi, today in GAP we went over the new congressional map, the legislative priority survey, and the GAP newsletter. We finished the meeting with a 4th of July themed Kahoot, and we will not be meeting next week.
Any questions for the GAP Chair? Seeing none, LJR Committee Chair Gaudio.
Good evening, Senate. You may view our votes below. The notifications of non-compliance were approved 5-0 to 2. You'll notice an extra name there. That's because they came into compliance between our meeting and tonight. So refer to the pro temps list, not this one. We will not be meeting on June 2nd. And our meetings, which were originally scheduled for July 16th and 23rd at 3 p.m., have been rescheduled to July 14th and 21st at 5 p.m. due to scheduling changes. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know.
Any questions for the LJR chair? Seeing none, SBA Committee Chair Perez. Any questions for the SBA chair? Seeing none, we'll move into confirmations. Is there a motion for speeches, questioning, and debate? Chair Reed. There's been a motion for 5-minute speeches, 5-minute questioning, and 5-minute debate. And a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, first we have Isabella Ryan for External Assistant Chief Justice. Yep, you'll have 5 minutes whenever you're ready. All right, thank you. We're now in line for 5 minutes of questioning. Senator Rickett.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Speaker. This question is for the candidate. If you were to be confirmed tonight, what do you think will be your biggest challenge or one of your most difficult tasks going forward in your time and tenure if you were confirmed?
Chair Gaudio and then Senator Barrios.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could the candidate tell me more about how do they plan to make sure that the Judicial Council and its committees meeting times are all properly advertised and posted both on the student government website and otherwise in accordance with Title 12 and beyond?
Senator Barrios.
Hi, thank you for coming out tonight. Would you be able to elaborate on any Judicial Leadership Council initiatives?
Eli Smith, Chair Reed, and then Chair Gaudio.
I was gonna move to debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate and a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now in 5 minutes of debate. Eli Smith and then Vice Chair Simmons.
Hi. So as the ELA, I definitely understand how important it is to get communication about, our respective branches out there. And I feel like these initiatives definitely take a really good approach at doing that. And I think she's going to be great in this role. So I urge you guys all to vote in favor because I certainly will be.
Vice Chair Simmons and then Senator Critchfield.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be echoing the same sentiments as the ELA. I really like this candidate's initiatives, especially about tabling on auxiliary campuses, as that's something that SBA is really focused on this year, and I think that's a great opportunity for cross-branch collaboration. So I encourage you all to vote in favor.
Senator Critchfield. There's been a motion to vote and a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now in voting procedures. All right, with a vote count of 30 to 1 to 0, Isabella Ryan is confirmed for External Assistant Chief Justice. Congratulations. Thank you. Next, we have Samantha Toscano for Internal Assistant Chief Justice. Again, you'll have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Can you hear me better now? There you go. Okay. Good evening, Senators. First and foremost, thank you all for having me here today and allowing me the opportunity to speak. For those I haven't had the chance to meet, my name is Samantha Toscano, though friends and family call me Sammy. I'm a rising junior from Boca Raton, Florida, majoring in business economics with a minor in legal studies, hoping to one day attend law school. It is truly an honor to appear before you today as I seek your confirmation for the position of Internal Assistant Chief Justice within the judicial branch. Just over a year ago, I stood before this body seeking confirmation as Associate Justice seat number 7. Since then, serving on the Judicial Council has been the most rewarding experience of my time at UCF. I've had the privilege of learning from an incredible group of leaders who have challenged me to grow both personally and professionally. Through parking appeals, student conduct hearings, impartial advising, committee work, outreach efforts, and mentorship, I have gained a deeper appreciation for the responsibility entrusted to this branch. I have seen firsthand the impact our work has on students, and I've come to understand that the strength of our branch is built not only through our decisions, but through the dedication, collaboration, and institutional knowledge that makes those decisions possible. Throughout my tenure, I have sought opportunities to contribute beyond the responsibilities of my seat. As the Vice Chair to both the Judicial Experience Committee and the Precedent Committee, I've worked to improve internal resources, strengthen transparency, and create tools that will continue serving future justices long after my time ends. From implementing a comprehensive parking appeals precedent tracker, to creating a resource for the Judicial Leadership Council's assistance in outreach, to collaborating with new student and family programs, on physical media to promote judicial branch service arms, I've always believed that meaningful service comes from leaving systems stronger than you found them. Outside of student government, my experience as the event manager to my local ice skating rink has further prepared me for this role. In my day-to-day responsibilities, I serve as the direct point of contact for more than 70 staff members, overseeing training, scheduling, and supervision. Through that experience, I have learned how to support a large team while ensuring operations run efficiently, as well as improved my organizational abilities and communication skills. If confirmed as Internal Assistant Chief Justice, my goal will be to continue building upon the strong foundation already established within this branch. I believe one of the most important responsibilities of leadership is ensuring that those who come after us are equipped to succeed. To accomplish this, I want to focus on many initiatives highlighting my core philosophies. I hope to strengthen operational efficiency and institutional knowledge throughout the branch. To achieve this, I seek to implement a justice availability matchup system to support students seeking student conduct and academic integrity advising services, expand internal resources related to the grade appeals advising process, and develop formalized mentorship guidelines to ensure future justices have the tools and support they need. I hope to assist the Student Government Leadership Council program by providing Robert's Rules of Order training for SGLC committee chairs, ensuring meetings are conducted efficiently and fairly. Additionally, I hope to enhance the Judicial Leadership Council experience by incorporating a mock student conduct case into the curriculum, providing students with an engaging look into the work of the judicial branch, as well as adding a peer engagement day designed to foster meaningful connections among participants. Together, these initiatives are intended to ensure we continue to grow, adapt, and effectively serve the student body. Beyond any specific initiative, however, my commitment is simple: to support the Chief Justice, to serve the Judicial Council, and to advocate for the students who place their trust in this institution. As a first-generation college student and a spring admin, I know how intimidating unfamiliar processes can feel. That perspective continues to motivate my desire to make our branch supportive and accessible to every student we serve. I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunities this branch has provided me and for those who have helped me grow throughout this past year. It would be an honor and a privilege to continue serving alongside all of you in this new capacity. Thank you again for your time, and I yield the remainder of my time for questioning.
Thank you. We're now in 5 minutes of questioning. I'll go Senator Barrios, Senator Rickett.
May I ask 3?
You may.
Okay. So thank you for coming out tonight. Before I ask the questions, I just want to say that I'm not asking them as like gotcha questions at all. So for the first question I have, on your initiative for advocacy for early class registration, is there a particular reason you want to advocate for this as opposed to stipends?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's only, thank you for the question to start, but I think there's only so far money can stretch. We all have budgetary constraints, so a stipend may not be feasible. I do know like other programs on campus, such as Campus Ambassadors or the former LEAD program, they did have early class registration, and that's something that's not monetary that could be attributed to student government agents for their time in service.
All right, cool. And then my second question is there a particular reason why you would train the committee chairs Robert's rules instead of SGLC as a whole?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the committee chairs are a good start. I think that since they are new and you expect like a new student to student government to manage other individuals in the SGLC program, I think that allowing them to have Robert's Rules training would make sure the committee meetings are more efficient. And that's what I'm specifically focused on. Last year in the fall semester, I did have a privilege of sitting in on a few committee meetings of SGLC, specifically the marketing committee. And I saw that the Robert's Rules of Order training was lacking, whereas so many people wanted to speak and there was only so much time available. So I think that having something more systemized, having that training on Robert's Rules would be able to circumvent that.
Cool. And then my last question is for your initiative on revamping the SGLC interview process.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a specific, so I know you're trying to centralize it for the coordinators, but do you have like a revamped rubric for how coordinators should be judging candidates for SGLC?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So with SGLC and with how I'm looking at SGLC as a whole, it is not a unitary position. There are 3 other coordinators, the ILA, the External Assistant Chief Justice, and the Chief of Staff. And so I don't want to go into anything presumptively. I want to have those conversations in one of our first meetings to be able to make those decisions. But my general idea as a whole for revamping that SGLC interview is I did sit in on a couple, and it almost felt like one agent was interviewing one candidate. And with that, I think there can be biases. I think there can be like different perspectives. So as opposed to judicial interviews, which I had the privilege of sitting on this past summer, we all came together to make a decision on a number. And I think that kind of makes it so that one individual wouldn't have the entire say on a candidate's future.
Senator Rickett.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the candidate, I know in this, if you were confirmed, you're going to be in a leadership position. My question is, if there ever was a situation where there's inter-office conflict, let's say the associate justices and the chief justice aren't getting along, or some of the associate justices are butting heads, not seeing eye to eye, what would you do in order to kind of mediate that process and get everybody back on track?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the question. My approach to conflict is very communicative. I want to be able to have that conversation right up front. So if the conflict was between myself and another individual, I want to, again, get it right out of the open. A lot of conflicts stem from a miscommunication. So being able to have those upfront conversations would be beneficial. But if I'm a mediator in the situation, like you referenced in the question, I think involving a third party would be great. So if it's 2 associate justices involving a member of leadership to be able to kind of assist in the conversations, or if it goes beyond, if it's 2 members of leadership involving the judicial advisor, involving the student government advisor, Ashley, would be a great benefit.
There's about a minute left in questioning. Go ELA Smith and then Chair Gaudio.
Move to debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate and
I
a second.
object.
There's an objection. Do you withdraw?
Yes.
All right, we got about 45 seconds left. Chair Gaudio.
So could the candidates tell me more about how they plan to conduct recording of meeting minutes as is expected of them under the JRP, how they're going to handle and manage those documents?
Yeah, absolutely. As quick as I can. So the Internal Assistant Chief Justice does take committee meetings. Does take meeting minutes for general counsel. And then the vice chairs take meeting minutes for all the committee meetings. So I think that throughout the week, having on like Friday, accumulating all of those, making sure they're uploaded to that SG Drive to be uploaded to the website would be my best way of ensuring transparency.
ELA Smith.
Move to debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate and a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now in 5 minutes of debate. ELA Smith.
Okay. Yeah, I'm really impressed with this candidate. I think these initiatives are so well thought out. I really like the advocating for a judicial seat on ANSF, and honestly, the Senate, like the seat email etiquette training, like they're all really well thought out. I can tell you put a lot of time into them, and you're so well spoken. I really have no complaints. I'll definitely be voting in favor. I urge you guys all to do the same.
Eiley Matthews and then Vice Chair Sharif, was that at hand? Yeah.
I'm going to say a lot of the same things as ELA Smith, but this candidate has very well thought out initiatives, especially I love the SGLC ones and the JLC ones. You can really see the time she took, especially with the interview review. I know it's a very hard process for the coordinators to really go through that and create the rubric. So I love these ideas and I'm super excited to work with her.
Vice Chair Sharif.
Again, you truly just represented yourself and the mission of it all. But I also just love the way that you talked about that interview process and kind of getting that back in Robert's rules, especially with our committee meetings. I know as an SGLCer last year, sometimes they got a little unfocused or just a little off track. So kind of keeping that order and also, yeah. So thank
Chair Gaudio.
I move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote and a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we are now in voting procedures. All right, with a vote count of 34 to 0, Samantha Toscano is confirmed for Internal Assistant Chief Justice. Congratulations. We'll move into internal legislation. Notice of legislation on first reading. I remand Internal Bill 5806 to LJR. Notice of legislation on third reading. I'll take a motion for speeches, questioning, and debate. ELA Smith.
Motion for a 555.
There's been a motion for a 555.
I second.
And a second. Are there any objections? Going once. Seeing none. Well, ELA Smith.
Can I change it to a 5-10-10?
Sure. There's been a motion for a 5-10-10. And a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we'll go with that. Chair Gaudio, I probably did something wrong there. You can let me know after. Internal Bill 5803, Title I updates, standardizing format. Senator Barrios, you'll have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
All right, so this is the exact same thing. Nothing changed. I just want to reiterate, this is not changing anything statutorily. As far as how we conduct our business, I yield for questions.
All right, now in 10 minutes of questioning, are there any questions? Chair Gaudio.
I move to debate on this measure.
There's been a motion to move to debate and a second. Are there any objections? So we're now in 10 minutes of debate. Eli Smith.
Makes sense. Move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote and a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now in voting procedures on Internal Bill 5803. All right, the vote count of 31 to 0, Internal Bill 5803 passes third reading. Next is Internal Bill 5804, Table of Contents, Senator Barrios.
All right, I just realized I just passed my first bill. I'm so excited. Anyway, this is not changing. Well, it's changing something. It's adding a table of contents. This is going to do nothing but good. Yeah, I yield for questions.
We are now in 10 minutes of questioning. Do you like Hapgood?
This is a question that I should probably know the answer to, but if I wanted to fix the formatting so that all of the page breaks made sense, could that just come after? Or would I have to do an amendment?
It's good without an amendment.
Okay, cool.
Any further questions? Seeing none, we're now in 10 minutes of debate. Chair Gaudio.
I move to vote on this measure.
There's been a motion to vote on internal bill 5804 and a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now in voting procedures. Okay, with a vote count of 32 to 2 to 0, internal bill 5804 passes third reading. Resolution 5804 addressing food insecurity, Senator Barrios.
All right, so just to recap, this is a resolution urging University of Central Florida to further address food insecurity because it's an issue. Thank you for questions.
Now in 10 minutes of questioning on this resolution. Vice Chair Capinos.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, I might have a couple questions for you. My first one was concerning the whereas clause where you state that UCF can decrease the cost of meal plans for students, which students may not be able to afford. I was wondering who you might have contacted outside of the data that you've collected on campus to get a little bit more information or background on that.
Sorry, I'm still trying to find it. So I haven't been able to. An attempt was made. I'll just say that to contact them, but unfortunately, there's been communication issues. Also, I think as far as communication, I think resolutions as a whole is our form of communication. But the reason why I mentioned that specific whereas clause as a potential alternative, or not alternative, but an additional solution that UCF can do is just because there's not a lot of information on it externally without having contacted them. So I just think that they're rising the cost without a whole lot of information, or so it seems to me from a student perspective. So that's why I included it. But to answer your original question, I haven't had the opportunity to hear a response back.
Do you have follow-ups? All right. Any further questions? Seeing none, we'll move into 10 minutes of debate. Vice Chair Capinos.
Okay. I agree with what this bill is trying to accomplish and trying to do. I think that there is some context that I'd like to give for how our vendors and food works here at the Institute. Some might be aware, but we use a third-party system called Aramark. They're a company that's based out of Delaware. We have a contract with them that we both mutually agree upon on when it comes to prices and things like this. They have a 38 agreement. It was made way back in 2000, in the beginning, early 2000s. And they have a committee where they look at these kinds of prices and how they increase over the years. Now, I myself was curious about how this all fits together. I think that food insecurity is one of the biggest things on campus. Looking at your whereas clauses where it affects almost upwards of 25,000 students, that is a very sizable population. This kind of goes into other hikes, and I won't take too much of your time. But the general scope of how it all works is the prices increased roughly more than how, and Gabe can pitch in on this, when the CPI index increases for inflation over the years. Food tends to increase a little bit more than the general markets. And so it's about a 3.4% increase that goes into that. And so that over the years is why prices may be higher a lot more than they were in previous. And I have some information pulled up as they have a rate lock program. So one of the things that UCF does to combat this is they lock in their current pricing in early April for students that are trying to enroll in new meal plans to not allow that to get higher. But there's also, when there's needs, they have somewhere in the contract that is automatically updated when the prices that rise based off of state legislature of the OPS in the food regions of $14 an hour to $15 an hour, that increases with that just automatically. So that's just something to think about. I do think, with all that being said, there is a lot of good that this bill can do. Just recently, the Board of Trustees passed increasing housing hikes. I think it's somewhat of 20%, which is a very substantial increase. But that's also, if you look at inflation, that hasn't been increased in the past 12 years. So that keeping up with inflation is probably why the Board of Trustees allowed for that to happen. All of this is just being said that I would be more comfortable amending taking out that whereas clause, because UCF isn't the only entity that has control over that. Aramark has a big control over what those prices are based out of. Obviously, they have to come to a mutual agreement. So just something to think about. If you want more information, there's a news article I can link, but you are right. There is very sparse information because that document, like I said, was made way back in the 2000s in the agreement. So you have to really dig for it, but that's what I'll have to say.
I'll do Senator Zivin because I hand this first, and then Senator Barrios. I'll see that as a technical. It's just okay. Senator Barrios.
May I direct a question to Vice Chair Capinos?
You may.
So on the Aramark thing, because I don't know what that is. When you're saying that like UCF and Aramark agrees, like UCF as in UCF administrators or like students or both?
That's a good question. So in the Aramark contract, it's a food services management contract. It was made between the University of Central Florida. So upper administration of Central Florida would be the ones to control it. I would have to pull from cabinet information of exactly who oversees that. But it is outlined. It's kind of a long document. It's about 38 pages long. So I can send it over to you to take a look at too. If you want to use it to maybe update some of the language within the bill, because then that could be a little bit more accurate in saying we could send it to possibly Aramark, who are partners of UCF, because they sit on a committee that is in junction with our administration. So I think that that's something that we can think about too, if that's an avenue that you want to go down. But my biggest concern is just making sure that when this goes out, I want this bill to do as much good as it can. And so to make sure that we have the language that we need that would be able to be as influential as possible.
Senator Barrios.
Move to see my amendment.
There's been a motion to see Senator Barrios' amendment and a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, you'll have 2 minutes.
I agree with a lot of what Vice Chair Capino said. We want this to have the best language possible. Based off of this new information I'm hearing, I don't think there's a need for this whereas clause. I yield for questions.
Now I'm questioning on the amendment. And seeing no questions, we'll move into debate. Senator Rickett.
I'll move to vote.
There's a motion to vote on the amendment and a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now in voting procedures. The vote count of 35 to 0 to 0. The amendment passes. We're still in 4 minutes of debate on the resolution. Senator Barrios.
Move to vote.
There's a motion to vote on resolution 5804 and a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now in voting procedures on the resolution. With a vote count of 34 to 0 to 0, resolution 5804 passes third reading. Notice of legislation on second reading proclamations. Proclamation 5801 recognizing June as Pride Month. Vice Chair Simmons.
Good evening, Senate. I have written this proclamation to recognize June as Pride Month. June is globally recognized as LGBTQ plus Pride Month, commemorating the 1969 Stonewall Uprising and more than 5 decades of advocacy, courage, and community. Pride Month was first officially recognized in the United States in 1999 by President Bill Clinton. Orlando Pride has been a yearly highlight for the LGBTQ plus community since 1991. The tragedy of Pulse was a transformative moment not only for Orlando but for the world. The history of Pride Month and the memory of Pulse continues to inspire action at UCF, including events, memorials, moments of silence, and advocacy for LGBTQ plus protections and representation across campus. Pride Month is not only a time to celebrate LGBTQ plus joy and progress, but also to reaffirm our collective responsibility to fight discrimination, defend civil rights, and create an environment where all Knights can live openly and authentically. I yield the rest of my time.
All right, we're now in 10 minutes of questioning on the proclamation. Chair Reed.
Move to debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate and a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now in 10 minutes of debate. Senator Gentile, Chair Reed.
I will be voting in favor of this proclamation. Pride Month is such an important time to recognize the history, resilience, and achievements of the LGBTQ plus community. This proclamation is a step in the right direction to creating a more inclusive and welcoming community at UCF, and I encourage you all to vote in favor.
Chair Reed.
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote and a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now in voting procedures on the proclamation. Vote count of 33 to 1 to 0. Proclamation 5801 passes second reading. Senate Forum, Chair Gaudio.
I just wanted to speak really quickly. You might hear some buzz regarding the library systems. If anyone reaches out to you, please direct it to the ELA. That is their job. We are not media trained yet, and we don't want to put a stir in the pot.
Any other Senate Forum? Seeing none, Senate deliberation, Senator Barrios. We will enter a period of up to 20 minutes starting now.
All right. So hello, everyone. We're back at it again. So I just wanted to speak on a previous discussion that we had regarding our budget bill and voting. So something that I've noticed across student governments, and this isn't related to us specifically. I mean, it is, but it's not like its own issue for us. This is a universal issue, whether it be at the high school level, local, state, federal level, university level. It's an issue where we're so caught up with our own thoughts that we constantly think that what we're doing is good. I'll admit I have that issue at times where I lack perspective. I think a good example of this is there were some bills that we were also going to be seeing, but after a conversation with Chair Gaudio, I realized that some of them were not good. So having perspective matters. And the point of this deliberation I'm hoping to have is to gauge what is our drive for doing certain initiatives? What does it take to change your mind? So I'll give a perfect example. Let's talk about the contention with the Ad Hoc Health and Wellness Caucus. If there was something that found that like 1,000 students, I like using that number because I think it's substantial, 1,000 students were against it, I would be against it. I would actually be more than against it. I would be like advocating for us not to pass it because that's what students want. So I just want to see now for future business that we're going to have, specifically with the budget bill, because not everyone's going to be happy when that comes along. And I want us to have this conversation now because I'm going to get data. I'm sure many senators are going to get data. SBA is going to get data, but we need to discuss this now on if gaining support from students is going to change our individual votes, because this is why we're here. We represent them, and I understand that we're prone to thinking that this is the right move, but we are also following a very democratic process, and we need to keep that in mind and respect that when we're voting on certain things. And I just want to discuss that with all of you.
All right, we'll open up to any discussion on that. I'll go Eli Smith. That's it. Chair Gaudio.
Okay. So I'm just gonna share my initial thoughts. Okay. So when you talk about perspective, I think it is a lot about perspective. If we're talking about the ad hoc caucus, my perspective is I was in Senate last year and I was the vice chair of the Women's Caucus. That is how I voted, right? But we each have our own perspectives. And I think something I want to see from you is the growth in student government. I think you're right. You're going to get more perspective, and maybe your ideas will change a little bit about the budget bill or about how we represent students. Because I know that mine did when I started. I kind of thought very similarly to you. And then I realized kind of logistically what our powers are, and it changed a little bit. So that is my initial thoughts. Take that as you will.
So what I care for most is student organizations more than students themselves, because a lot of students are uninvolved and don't care to understand how things actually work. And frankly, they can have misplaced priorities, right? Like mob rule is not inherently a good thing, but a student organization will be in tune with what the active students of that degree program want and need. And so depending on what the program is, depending on what's being changed, that is always what my thoughts go to. And this goes beyond just what we do. When OSI was making the changes to the different student organization classifications, GSO, ASO, DSSO, I was running back and forth between OSI and some organizations that I was actively a part of so that they could be clued in, and that if there were concerns, right, run back and forth. So that's really what I look more so to, is what do the student organizations think? Because they operate as a collective voice, and it's not as discordant.
I'll go Senator Miller, Eli Matthews, Senator Barrios.
Senator Gaudio, I'd like to disagree with your point of kind of prioritizing student organizations, because I feel like as senators, we can't pick and choose who we choose to put on a pedestal and represent. We're here to represent the whole student body. I know there's a lot of students who maybe are not as inclined to get involved, but that doesn't mean their voice is any less as important as the people in student organizations.
I'm Matthews.
So, okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about what everyone has said. So with Senator Barrios, the number 1,000 is also just a factual number. You're representing 1,000 students as a senator. I also love using that number because it really puts into perspective for students as well what your senator is able to do for you. For actually knowing what the students want to talk about, tabling is a big thing, SBA tabling, committee tabling, or just talking to students inside your college. I do that a lot, just like in my political science classes. I just talk to them about what they want to know. For students not being educated, honestly, they just don't know what's going on. Most of the time, they just want to know what's going on. I know during the We the Pizza event we did in the spring semester, one of the bingo squares was about the budget. And when I told them how much it was, their first reaction was anger, because they were like, why is my money going towards this? Once you explain what the money goes towards and even show them the option of explaining what the different agencies do that we fund, they typically are inclined to know more and they want to know more. And then on top of it, we are voting as students, as the students' voices. And then a little bit what Eli Smith said, your experience on top of that also helps your vote as well. So when I'm voting as the students I represent, but also in my position, knowing what I've known about student government.
Senator Barrios.
So just from hearing what everyone has said, I just want to tie this into my personal thoughts. The reason why I think, no, I don't want to address that first. I think a lot of the time students don't care about what we do, because what do we really do for them? To Chair Gaudio's point, it's mostly the active students and RSOs who are participating in student government. But to that point, it's also the students in those RSOs who are benefiting from student government. We have CRT and FAO. If you're not in an RSO, how does student government necessarily benefit you? You could say, well, we have OSI, you have RWC, but if you're a student trying to literally survive by just having funds, that is not something we operate on. And my main concern is that we should be operating on this. I understand there's a lot of contention on like why our funding, the funding for our entities like the RWC and OSI exists, and to take away would be harming these entities. But I also just want to keep in mind that when you're comparing what benefit is greater for the two, I think it's clear to see that if a student is struggling with very basic needs, we should be there to help them over these other agencies. Obviously, I'm not talking about like substantial cuts, but we should be increasing funding like towards having more transportation access, towards more night pantry funding, like things that any student can materially benefit from, because these are basic needs to succeed in college. From my perspective, I don't really utilize student government all that much. I don't utilize OSI. I don't utilize the RWC. I utilize the student union. But there's no material benefit for me to help me with the financial burden of college. And I understand that this is an issue for many students. On a form that I have created to try and gauge student population, the number one issue right now among all the responses is the cost of tuition, which did not come to me as a surprise. Everything is going up, and I just feel our university is not prioritizing those as much. They're prioritizing perhaps the more recreational side, which I think we're also doing. And I think that is harming our students. And that's why I'm trying to reconnect us back to that point of contention, that if I'm getting this support showing, hey, we need to be investing in our students' future, will you guys be on the train with me for that? Because I know for a fact this is an issue. Students will prefer these other resources over the current ones we have, but I need to know that you guys are also on board with this. So that's all I'll be saying for right now.
All right, we got about 10 minutes left. I'm going to go in the order of hands. I'm going to go Havegood, Rickett, Kafinos, Matthews.
Okay, what I will say is that you bring up some really, really important points. Like, how are we supposed to support people in getting to the gym if like they can't, if they don't have food? And to that, I would say that our power to fix those things is not in our budget, it is in our influence as student government. So it's in that we can write resolutions to support those things, and we can do our best to make sure our funds are being used in the proper way, but we are not the university administration, you know, and there's also faculty senate. So our influence and the way that we can address those things is by passing things like your resolution to support food, support helping stop food insecurity, and things like that. You know, our budget is not something that should be devoted to lowering tuition, because that is on the university admin side. So we have to be advocates as opposed to money spenders in that regard, because those are important things.
Rickett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is one thing I will say. First, budget goes, as far as student voices, you have to remember that we are a very large university. We come from a very diverse group of people. And you have to also realize that, yes, there are students with different backgrounds and nobody wants higher tuition. I'll use an example for myself. No matter what the tuition is, it's going to get paid for. I can't say that for most students. There's a lot of graduate students that are fully funded. It's not going to really affect them. There's people here with scholarships. There's people here with not one little drop of money for grants and scholarships. It affects everybody. But the point of the budget is to get all this stuff funded, and it's for the good of the whole. So we also have to remember that, yes, some people's voices, they're all different. It might be for or against, but you have to remember the human element in all of this, that everyone comes from a different perspective. So the best thing you can do is take all the voices you've heard, not only just students, but even some people in academia, some of our staff as well. Take that into account. And when you present all your information, that's how the budget can go. And even though it might not pass, or even though it might not go forward, having that voice put forward and letting everybody hear it, that is a great way to go forward. So I'll just leave it with that. Thank you.
Capinos.
I kind of want to tie in what everyone has said. And this is one, and I'm going to get personal here. This is one of the things that I want to try to accomplish is how do we address the apathetic nature within students that don't feel connected to the university? We touched on that very lightly during Senate Exec earlier today, where we are trying to get students to be more involved. As data shows that more involved students have better retention rates, have better grades overall, and have better just metrics in getting through 4-year graduation. I want to say to Senator Miller's point, I agree. I think that, and to what Senator Matthews said as well, that we represent 1,000 students. RSOs are involved, and yes, those students might have voices that are a little bit louder, that might be a little bit easier to listen to. But I think going through these tabling initiatives, I think that this is something that would be really beneficial to hammer out, because we talk about wanting to represent the students. We would talk about wanting to represent their voices. We talk about how much power do we really have as student government to be able to enact change and affect change, and how much is it strictly based on advocacy? Like Senator Rickett was saying, is that sometimes we can only advocate, and it's the best we can do. I think that tabling and getting people aware is the first step in making people know that they have a voice in student government. And then once the students realize that one voice might be powerful for us, but you have thousands of students that rally behind an idea, and then upper administration starts to listen even more so, right? We can present them with resolutions and proclamations talking about the concerning issues that we have that are real issues. But if we have thousands, hundreds of students that are also preaching the same thing, that creates a little bit bigger of a voice at these upper administrations might want to listen to a little bit more. I'm not saying they don't listen to us now. I'm just saying that I think the first step is tabling and reaching out to these students, allowing them to know that we're here for them. And then when that goes and gets bigger, then we can say, okay, now where can we move this direction, and how can we influence things to be a little bit more impactful? Whether we go through looking at the budget, I don't know the feasibility in that. The D-League had really good points in saying that there are restrictions. So I'll leave that as my 2 cents, because I think that this is a much bigger conversation, and I think it'll be ongoing for months to come.
Matthews with 5 minutes left.
Can I ask a question to Senator Barrios? So you were talking about research earlier. Can you share with us how you're collecting research, and is there any way you can provide us with some of the research you've collected so far?
So yeah, this is a personal independent project, I'll keep in mind, but I've been doing this through a Google form, and I've been speaking in my classes. I don't really know what the area of an auditorium is, at the front of the auditorium. But I will tell you all, sorry, I have to log into this Microsoft form. I will tell you all right now, the responses are not good about student government. They are exactly as I had foreseen. The first question that I ask in the form is how they rate student government. We are at a 6.5. It's better than most universities, I'm sure, but we could be doing better. And I measured so I'll just explain what questions I ask, and then I'll try to be quick. So one question is, which issues should student government focus on? If there are issues not included, what would you mention? What resources could student government provide? How can student government improve itself? What are the priorities for your financial need? What are some strengths of SG? What are some weaknesses? And then any comments. And that is how I've been collecting data.
Go Gaudio, Hapgood, Greg.
So I know one of the topics that was also kind of brought up that hasn't been addressed as much has been the budget, right? Kind of what can we do with the budget? And so I'd like to bring forward anyone who's done anything involving supply chain or business will know what I'm about to talk to, which is production at scale, right? The larger something is, the more of something you do, the cheaper it becomes just by default. And so, for instance, the idea of like food insecurity, right? Or tuition. I don't have enough money. We already do something to address that. How many of you have been to the RWC? How many of you have been in the front desk of the student union? Have been to the front desk in our own office, right? I know some of our online people haven't yet, but there are people that work there. What do we give to people that work here? Yes, they can get Scantrons, but we pay them. And that money, that's twofold, right? On the money for them can now go to tuition. It can go to food. It can go to things like that. And it helps us because now we have people to handle other tasks, such as giving Scantrons to students or otherwise, right? We have taken our money and multiplied it just through something as simple as that. And so when you start to discuss things like the budget, like, could we just give people money for food? In theory, yes, but we're essentially lighting that money on fire. It's not doing anything else. And so that's another perspective that needs to be taken. How can we make what we have go further? Because advocacy is important. We do get things done by that. But our money is what really talks.
I did say have good, and then Greg, there's a minute 30 left, and there's 3 other hands. So as quick as we could all be.
I'll be speedy. First, I'd like to say that Gaudio is a capitalist at heart, and that's not a bad thing, but it did make me laugh. And then Caleb, sorry, Senator Barrios, was it 6.5 out of 100?
Out of 10.
Oh, okay, cool. That's pretty good, actually. That's almost passing.
Greg, and then Capinos, Bove, Sheriff. Gotcha.
Okay, I'll be really quick. But I think this is a really good discussion to have. And in terms of the budget, I think what would be good to do is like surveys to students, asking like line by line, at least on larger items, to say like, do you use this, and how much do you support this? Or to say something like, would you support cutting funding from this to go to this? And yeah, that's basically all I have.
Capinos, you got 10 seconds each.
The pricing for minimum wage workers has stopped going up. So we're at a max of 15 now. So we should see some changes in that going into the future.
Fantastic. Bove. Sherry.
I was just going to say, I think with this conversation, we also have to kind of recognize where we're getting that money from. That's the activity and service fee, and that's students' money. Like all of us, we pay into that fee. So we have to make sure we're using, any services can be provided, but making sure we're using that money for what it's meant to be. And if we are going to kind of open up different programs, allowing it to kind of be, that's a different discussion.
Right on time, and that's a good way to end it. And I see that there's more Senate Forum, so is there a motion to move back to Senate Forum? And any objections? Seeing none, Deezer Montanez.
I've heard this topic of conversation come up a few times, and it was mentioned when talking about resolutions. I originally had this in Senate deliberation, so I don't really know how to word this for Senate Forum, but something that I've heard from SLC is that you're meant to contact the people that the resolution would be, I guess, pertaining to. But I do want to mention, and it was mentioned by Senator Barrios, that resolutions are meant to be communication, meant to say like, hey, this is what we're voting on and what we think is important. So I think it's important to keep that in mind, especially when working with people that are gonna take a really long time to reply to someone asking, even if it's a simple question of like, hey, do you agree with this? Like, some people just don't care enough for that. So I think keeping in mind that resolution is meant to be the communication, while I guess it's about having a healthy in between of like, if this is something that could be controversial, maybe you should ask people who are willing to respond, but keeping in mind that I don't think it should be used against anybody if people aren't responding to the communication that you're giving with the resolution, because it's meant to be the communication. Does that make sense? That's what I got from my SLC days. But I could be wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I'd love to have this conversation.
We're not going to have a discussion about that. Certainly could do that in deliberation next week if that's the temperature, but we'll go to advisor's report. Ashley.
Happy Thursday, folks. 7:30 is a beautiful time for me to be speaking. Can't say I'm mad at it. I do have a couple of things to go over today, including a small demonstration, I guess. Just a couple of points of information for you all. I'll be out of the office tomorrow and on Monday. So if there's anything you need from me that you think is time sensitive, send it to me. I'm going to try to handle those things before I leave tonight. If it's not time sensitive, I'll be back on Tuesday and my team will be back in the office on Monday. If it's like teams, records, all that good stuff. Also, just keep in mind that UCF will be closed for the 4th of July holiday next Friday. So as you all saw, SBA won't be meeting, but also just know like the campus will not be operating, just so you're aware. And if you didn't see, also for folks that are used to the vibe of Thanksgiving week, President Cartwright also announced for your future planning that we will have the entire week of Thanksgiving off this year, which is an exciting time for all of us. So just keep that in mind when you're making your plans going into fall semester. Okay, so you'll see in my announcements, I also have event pass and points. So for folks that weren't in Senate Exec today, I'm going to ask you to do the same thing I asked them to do. Go on your cellular devices and log on to Night Connect for me. As you do that, I'm also going to try to share my screen because that is a thing I can do. Hold on. Which screen is it? Okay, so if we are on Night Connect, when you log in, you will see you have your initials that indicate your profile in the upper right-hand corner. As you do that, for my folks online, I hope you're doing this too, because you will need this. You will see a little QR code option there. That is your event pass. When you click on it, it gives you the option to add this pass to your wallet, your phone's wallet. This is a new feature that we purchased through OSI as a part of our contract with the folks that leave the Night Connect site. So this is basically an individual student's pass for them to be able to track attendance at any event that they attend that is honestly any event, and some of them will be eligible for points. So they can add this to their wallet. Anybody that's leading an event that has the ability to track attendance will be able to download an app, and that app will allow for everybody's phones to turn into scanners to track attendance at events, which will be a lot more helpful if you ever tried to attend like a larger scale event where they were using swipers. This makes that a lot simpler because anybody's phone can now turn into a quote unquote swiper, right? And so this has launched this summer. This event pass is being utilized right now. CAB had events this week that they were able to use this for. And that connects us to our new system program, which is points. So if you log on to Night Connect 2, you will see this option on your left-hand side that says points. Basically, any RSO will have the opportunity to submit events that they want to count for points as they track student attendance, right? So me, for example, during our OSI staff meeting, they had a sample event that they used through Homecoming's page. And I pulled up my event pass, someone on our staff scanned it, and I was able to say, okay, I've attended this event, now I have 25 points, right? RSOs will be able to submit events for 10 points. Agencies and SG, as well as some departments, will be able to have each of their events automatically count for 25 points. And then some of our more large scale events that are surrounded by campus traditions will have the option of being able to be eligible for 50 points total. And so on this platform, you'll see as I click through, like it tells you filter by activity, but each area that has an event that's eligible for points will pop up here. So I can see any of Rosenlife's events that are upcoming. But if you see here, let me scroll, let me keep going. You'll see student government. So all of our committee meetings and Senate meetings from this point forward will be eligible for 25 points as well. And so I mentioned this to Senate exec today. And so this will be an opportunity for leadership in those areas to talk about what that looks like in their individual committees of like, at what point do we scan students in? I'm going to talk to Owen about that in case that incentivizes students to come to Senate meetings, right? Like at what point do we make them stay for 4 hours if our Senate meeting is going for 4 hours? Or like, is there a checkpoint to where, okay, yeah, the student's been here, they get the gist, let's give them the attendance, right? So we're going to talk about some of those logistics, but you all as students may see this as you go to events on campus. And the purpose of having these additions to this platform that we already had is to incentivize exactly what Jimmy mentioned, incentivize students to be more engaged, right? When I was a freshman at UCF, we had a system like this, and the draw was like get as many points as possible because there's like a prize drop either on a semesterly basis or on a annual basis, like an academic year basis. And so you'll be able to go in and say, okay, let me go back to my points dashboard. Like you could see where you rank in relation to any other student that has logged on to the dashboard and has earned points, right? So like my test event has put me below average at a measly 25 points, right? But you can see where you rank in total, how many points you have in total. And so there'll be like an event where students are able to enter a drawing or what have you to earn things. Like if you only have 25 points, maybe you're eligible to receive a keychain. But let's say you have 125, maybe it's a specialized t-shirt or sweatshirt. And I know that they're trying to submit for funding for some more grandiose prizes, right? Like when they did, at my time, it was like Link Loot. And so we had the opportunity to earn things like laptops, speakers, right? For people who were really, really engaged and like racked up the points, right? And so, as Jimmy was mentioning, like I studied higher education. Part of what we study is that studies do show students that are more engaged with their campus experience have better retention rates, graduate on time, just by nature of you find a sense of community, you have a tether, you have more stake in your university or institution, right? Because if I know I'm engaged in this way, you all as student government leaders have information that other students don't have. And so you feel responsibility to that. Now you're keeping a pulse of what's happening at your institution, right? Like those types of things increase the stake that you feel like you personally have in what's happening across your campus. And so all of this is to help drive for students that maybe don't understand the purpose of leaving their rooms, right? Of making sure that they are not just coming and leaving if they don't have to. This is a part of what that looks like, right? So just know that this is something, it's live right now. As I told you, leadership is now in the phase of planning exactly what this will be in each of the committees in a way that makes sense for what each committee does. I'm going to talk to Owen about what this means for Senate, but also you as students have the opportunity to go and rack up points, right? Like go to a CAB event, go to an RSO event and support them, but also like take charge of your experience, right? No pun intended. And so also just so you know, for the RSO side of it, this is hopefully going to incentivize them to make sure that their member rosters are up to date, because Shane, as an admin of this and a couple other folks, will have the opportunity to see how many RSOs have the most engaged members, right? So each, like, if I'm a member of Underwater Basket Weaving Club and I'm like the most active person ever, that's going to contribute to my RSO's total points, right? And there'll be opportunities and incentives, hopefully, for those RSOs as well. So it's a trial program. I hope you all share this with your network so that folks can download this pass. This will make check-in at events a lot easier as folks do this. I'm also going to link some documents that Homecoming created proactively to kind of share what this is and how students can start downloading this pass and getting used to logging into Night Connect as a whole. And so just know that this is happening and we're excited about it, and we want folks to continue to spread the word about it and use it. And then if you have any feedback as we're going through, please let us know. I know I'm encouraging some folks from OSI to come talk to you some more about, because there's also like a pass network. There are other things going on. And so I told them I'd do like the introductory conversation, but I'm sure some folks will come in soon to share some more in-depth information about it. But I want to make sure you all, as some of our premier campus leaders, are hearing this ahead of the game. Any questions about these things before I go into National Day of? Caroline.
Okay, so I know you said like as students we can get points from going to RSO things. Can we get points from our own meetings?
I don't see why not. The question I will ask if you are doing that is like, should you, especially if you're like chairing the meeting? I can't stop you, right? You're a student and you're there, but I'll leave that to your own conscience. Yes, sorry, I'll take it over. Okay, Matthew.
Just one question on that, like for RSOs, how could they request to like put an event on like the calendar?
Yes. So that will look different on my ends because I'm not like a member, but I can try to share my screen again and show folks what that will look like. Hold on, let me pull back up Night Connects, and then I'm gonna go to, I'm a member of a lot of things, folks. Okay, so when they go to create an event, they will see a drop-down option right down here, event category. You see RSO event, and it says, well, that's going kind of slow. Hold on. In theory, when you see event categories, there's a drop-down, and it says RSO event dash Night Connect points. And so not every event that they post, if they don't select that option, will count for points, because I don't think every RSO will want every event for people to just show up and try to get points. So it gives them the agency to say like, no, these are the ones we definitely want students at, or try to encourage more students to be at. And so you'll see it there. So, Caleb.
I'm not familiar with how Night Connect works. Is like are all students automatically like integrated into the system, or do they have to like sign up?
They all have access. Not all students use it, which is part of why we're hoping this incentivizes folks to get on there, because I know when I'm talking to students, I've done consultations of like, they're like, how do I know what's happening on campus? How do I know how to get involved? How do I find an organization to be a part of? I always ask them, have you ever logged on to Night Connect? And unfortunately, a lot of them say no. And so I'm like, you can search RSOs through keywords on there. If you're interested in something, it pulls information from their bios, from their constitutions, right? So the hope is that more students choose to log on to this. All of them automatically are integrated through their NID and NID password as any other UCF system. They just have to elect whether to actually like log on or not. Yeah. Any other questions?
You said that like it would be scanned, and you said something about like an app. So if you're in ours, like what's the app?
Yes, I can't remember the name of it, so I'm going to type all of that in later. Any other questions for that before I do my National Day of? Yeah, favorite part. Okay, awesome. So this week was also lacking. So I only have one, and it's from yesterday. But the National Day of for June 24th was National Day of Joy. So I thought that was very wholesome and sweet. And I'll do a shameless plug. There's a song called Joy by Ray. If anybody is fans of that individual, it always gives me like a smile on my face. I usually play it on the way into work. So I'll leave that to you. I hope you listen.
My turn.
Hi everyone. I hope everyone is okay. I just want to let you know I'll be out tomorrow. I'm not gonna be here, but I'm gonna be back on Monday. I received Adeline's emails already, and I already sent everything, so you're fine. And I also wanted to remind you about the votes. Please, if you have any issues, remind to send me all your votes through the student assistant email. I put it again there in my announcement so you have it. And yes, make sure to do that, because if you don't, that means that your attendance would be affected, and we don't want that. That's it for me.
Vice Chair Capinos?
I was just wondering how long you've had that sticker on your computer. Everyone needs a girl's girl. I thought it was very funny.
I got it last semester. They gave it to me in the, I don't remember, one of the things that they give, like a bag of like, I don't know, I don't remember the name of the bag, but it was something that had like wipes and stuff like that.
Chair Casimiro?
It's from RWC. It's the wellness kits.
That
Don't ask
one.
me.
Yeah, thank you so much. You saved me.
All right.
You save me always.
Any other questions for Maite? Seeing none, we'll go to miscellaneous business. I appoint Caleb Barrios to E&A and Abby Matthews as Caucus Leadership Committee Acting Chair. Dismissals, I hereby dismiss Sachi Makadea from Senate. Resignations, I resign Zachary Gaudio from E&A. And let's do some Senator shoutouts. Abby, Mariah, Olivia, and yeah.
Okay, I have a lot, so bear with me. Number one, shout out Caleb for passing your first bill. Super exciting. Shout out Owen and Olivia. Yay, speakers office. We had an hour-long meeting day, which was super fun. And shout out all the committees and everyone that's been dealing with all my team's messages about websites. Thank you guys. Also, shout out Owen for full naming me during Senate deliberation. You called me Abigail Matthews, which is kind of scary. Shout out Anna for making me laugh. I like your outfit. Shout out Veronica. We really miss you, girl, up there. Also shout out Amish Pretzel. It's now open again, guys. Go find it in Nightcade. And then, guys, there's more. Don't worry. Shout out all the caucuses and your future chairs. So excited to see all you guys do this year. And then congrats, Connor, for getting E&A vice chair.
Who did I say? Oh, right.
Thank you. Shout out Chair Perez. I'm glad you're back in the US now, but I'm super excited for everything that we're working on, and great job on the initiative tracker. Also, shout out Grace Rudy. She's watching the live stream.
That's big news. Olivia, Adeline, Veronica.
Okay. Shout out to everyone I've been working with on initiatives with your patients as I figure out everything. Your patient means a lot. So, and thank you guys all for just making me laugh back here. It's really great. It makes Senate fun. Also shout out Maite. You guys don't really see all the work she does, but she does a lot of work for us, especially vice chairs. Shout out Anna just cause, and then shout out to Isla Matthews. You guys don't see all that she does, but she does a lot, not only to support me in the speaker's office as a whole, but to advocate for each and every one of you guys in this chamber. She's incredible at her job, and I'm going to shout her out like every week because she deserves it. But that's my girl.
I wanted to shout out Victoria. CRT has been having a lot of allocations, and she's had to very much hit the ground running, and she's been doing a really good job, especially online too. It's hard. So,
Veronica. Anna.
I also wanted to shout out Veronica. We missed you so much while you were abroad, but I loved your photos. Shout out Abby and Olivia for all your hard work. It's been such a pleasure watching you guys grow into your positions, and I'm so excited to see all that you do throughout the year. Shout out to my Gap Kahoot winners, Jimmy, Nick, and Julia. Great job, guys. Glad that you know about American history. Anti-shout out to Owen for accusing me of drawing on his whiteboard and not believing me when I said I didn't do it. So anti-shout out for that.
For the record, it looked like it was her. Gabe.
Shout out Maite. She actually is seeing Ariana Grande, I think, this weekend. So she's doing good. She got the tickets. My friend didn't, so she's very upset. Shout out ORS. You guys are always awesome. Shout out Jimmy. We're the only ones here. I'm so sad. Yeah. And show up to the fiscal appeal hearing next week. I won't be there, but Speaker Sherman got that.
Kilmar.
Shout out to Jimmy just cuz, and then shout out to Adeline for doing her first legislation workshop. I know that wasn't easy, and she did it. Come to the next one.
Oh, Zach.
Miss Jane and Mr. Rickett for being online folks showing their faces today. We love to have you. I love my committee. And if Kaufman's grandparents are watching.
Any other shout outs? Ryan.
Shout out Owen and his brand new haircut. It looks good.
And I'm glad you like it. Shout out Abby and Olivia for all their hard work. And CRT, great meeting today as well. Kaufman's Cradle.
All right, guys. We've got another great installment of this segment. Let's get right into it. Let's get some participation going today. Oh, I love all the hands. We're just going to go around the corner, so around the room. So, Gabe?
This kind of looked like Nick, I think. I mean, don't you guys see the resemblance?
All right, Jimmy?
There's too much cheesing going over there. I think it's Adeline. I think this is definitely Adeline with the dog.
All right, we got Adeline. Who's next in this? Anna? All right, Caleb?
Can I ask Adeline 2 questions?
Is one of them going to be the color of her eyes?
No, it is not. It is not. Surprisingly, it is not.
All right, sure.
Okay. Did you say before that you were from Tennessee?
Maybe.
Okay. In a world where you were from Tennessee, could you possibly describe what Tennessee looked like?
Well, I moved from Tennessee when I was but a wee 5-year-old. So I remember lots of sticks and the occasional mountain. Yeah.
Morgan, you got it?
Well, I was gonna say Olivia, but I don't know, guys. Now I'm gonna have to lean with Senator Barros. So Barros.
All right. Connor?
Adeline, what kind of dog do you have?
Well, doing the math, if there was a dog in a picture with a child and that child was now an adult, that dog would be dead. So, but I do have I
Caleb, you got something?
I was just gonna say Adeline, but Adeline, do you consider yourself a dog person?
It is Adeline in the picture. Oh, this segment's always interesting. I love it.
I'll take a motion. Vice Chair Capinos.
Motion to adjourn this meeting pending final roll call.
There's been a motion to adjourn pending final roll call and a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, Chair Gaudio.
Hagenbuck. Reed.
Present.
Olivia Smith.
Present.
Casimiro.
Present.
Capanos.
Present.
Wacker. Critchfield. Jane.
Present.
Sherman.
Present.
Danae Smith. Belulehi. Gentile.
Present.
Greg.
Present.
Kaufman.
Present.
Licht. McNulty. Miller.
Present.
Patel. Rashid.
Present.
Rubio. Thompson. El Haq. Kanuja. Kranova. Rickett.
Here.
Hader. Phillips. Beauvais.
Present.
Montañez.
Present.
Wynn. Habgood.
Present.
Perez. Barrios.
I'm here.
Grosso. Jones. Matthews.
Present.
McRae. Nursimudevra. Renda. Sharif.
Present.
Simmons.
Present.
Vieira. Zivin. Kalas. 38 out of 45.
And just before we adjourn, a quick message from Ryan.
My grandparents say, yes, we are watching. Shout out to everyone.
I adjourn this meeting at 7:55 p.m.